Well, good morning, folks. If you haven't guessed it, it's Saturday, 21st of March. We're in the midst of the Corona-19 pandemic. I'm reporting live from the cabin up at Lazy Mountain, Alaska. And the temperature outside is a balmy 33 degrees and it's snowing. And we've got close to 4 foot of snow on the ground, maybe 5, and we get more. So our spring is not yet sprung. The weather is getting warmer. It's warm enough for me to broadcast from inside the cabin again. So I thought I would do an update for you guys and let you know what's going on up in Alaska. Well, we're getting hit with the same problems you all are having, supply chain problems. For some unknown reason, all on the same day, a few days ago, every roll of toilet paper within the state of Alaska magically disappeared off the shelves. It's just insane. And following that, a few days after that, everything like flour, sugar, salt, pasta, most canned goods, all types of medical supplies, all just disappeared from every store in my vicinity. I haven't gone into Anchorage and checked anything in there, but out here in the valley, all the big people, the Kroger store, the Fred Meyer stores, which is an outshoot of Kroger. They own Fred Meyer's. They're having problems with. They had no toilet paper. They have to limit everybody's two items per category per visit. So people were just grabbing everything off the shelves and hoarding everything, and so that means there's nothing for anybody else. Let me be frank with you. You can always wash your ass with something or another. You don't need toilet paper. 3/4 of the planet doesn't even know what toilet paper is. They don't use it. They wipe their ass other ways. That's why if you're left-handed and you go to Indonesia or most other in Africa or any Muslim country, and you use your left hand to do anything other than wipe your ass, you can get your hands chopped off. I mean, that's what it's used for. Okay. So, being a left-handed person, I tend not to go to those areas. So there's that. Okay, my gym is closed down. Okay, I still can get water at the water point. That's automated, so there's no problem there. Haul water, or if worst comes to worst, I can always melt snow or purify river water or whatever. I'm pretty much been living off the grid and isolated for about 30 years, so it's no big deal to me or my kids. The people that is big deal to are folks who have never experienced not having everything they wanted at all times. The millennials, the younger folks, they're all going to be the ones that have large problems with this sequestration and the non-availability of goods. You know, it makes us preppers feel good because being a prepper and having lived through earthquakes and different forest fires and things like that, I've kind of prepared myself and my family over the years to live on less and less and less, and to make do, to overcome and adapt to situations. A lot of you people in the city ain't going to be able to do that. So I feel sorry for you. Hopefully they get a handle on this within the next 3 to 4 days. And I'm seeing by about week 2 of this stuff, with people being out of work and no money, kids being at home, nothing to do, tempers are going to flare, especially when you got a bunch of screaming rugrats and you ain't got nothing to feed them, and you go to the store and there's nothing on the shelves, and I can see it getting out of hand quickly. And not because the virus is killing anybody, because people are killing other people. It's the nature of the human beast we have to fear at this time. So if you haven't got a gun or any means to defend yourself, don't tell anybody you got toilet paper. Okay? Don't tell anybody what you got. What's in your pantry? Nothing. Just keep your mouth shut and you may make it through this thing. What's going to happen, here's my prediction, okay? And it hasn't happened so far. Although the press, the national news media has been pushing panic on people for the last 3 weeks or so, 3-4 weeks. They've got and they're responsible for these fucking runs on basic goods like toilet paper and stuff, They're responsible. They keep pushing the people to panic. Okay, instead of saying, being honest with you, we've had a lot more people die of H1N1 than this is going to kill. Okay, so with proper management and stuff, we'll all get by through this stuff. Right? If you're susceptible, like I'm an old guy and I've got diabetes and a bunch of other different problems, I ain't going around anybody I don't have to go around. I got H1N1 when that was going around, and it about killed me. I had to go to the hospital, and I was so dehydrated and stuff, they had to stick an IV in me. They only kept me for a few hours and then released me with some medications and stuff. But yeah, there's gonna be people that are going to need to be hospitalized and said. So keep that in mind. You want to, you got a little sniffle or something, you don't want to overburden the healthcare system so that some other needy person can get it. Just try and take care of yourselves. Those of you who have made fun of preppers, you may know one or two of them, and they may help you out. But you need to start banding together, get to know your neighbor. Do you know your neighbors? Do you know their first? Do you ever talk to them on a first name basis? Do you have any idea who they are, what their skills are, whether they're going to be a threat or an asset to you? All that stuff you should have done in the head time, but now you're going to have to do it. You're going to have some self-reliance. The only thing we can hope for is that this does not become an end game type scenario. Okay, I can see if people start panicking and the supply chain gets interrupted even more, that you're going to see people doing stupid shit like looting and rioting and stuff. And the government is kind of responding to this by they're going to give you some money, folks. They're going to send you money. They're giving you free shit. And isn't that what you communists want? Isn't that what you ought? You all want free shit. You don't have to depend on anybody but the government. You want your little government handouts. So you people should be happy. Oh boy, where to go on? Okay, so what am I personally doing about this? Nothing. I'm just sitting around the cabin waiting for spring. I've got my plans for this springtime. Once the snow's gone, I'm going to get plants going and getting a garden going. If you can plant some food, you should probably want to do something like plant a garden, things like that. try to make yourself not as dependent on others or of modern systems if you can. Think back about how did people wipe their ass before there were 7-Elevens where you could go in there and buy a roll of toilet paper. You know, how did people obtain clean drinking water if they weren't in plastic bottles at the store? How did people do it before that plastic bottles in the store existed? You know, how are you going to keep clean without, you know, how are you going to exercise? How are you going to do this? How are you going to do that? You just make alternate plans and pick yourself up and do it. Don't wait for the government to fucking help you, because as those giant cities start getting more and more sick and more desperate, as people panic more and more, there's going to be less and less available on the shelves or in the stores, and then people are going to start fighting more, and then somebody's going to get offended and shoot somebody else, and that's going to start a chain reaction. And the politicians are going to start using, especially the Democratic politicians, they're going to use this situation in order to try and gain more power. They're going to try and convince you that you know, you can be saved from this virus if you just give them your vote and let them determine who's going to live, who's going to die, who's going to get the resources, all that shit like that. So you can look forward to that. Now, a lot of folks are thinking this is going to be a reset. Maybe if we're lucky, we get rid of the Federal Reserve System, go back on the gold standard. We hunt down and execute all those people that pushed this NAFTA and GATT shit on us. All these people who profited by taking manufacturing of everything from fucking aspirin to shoes to automobiles to everything else, and moved it offshore. We hunt those assholes down, and either they bring all that shit back to America or we kill them. You know, that's what I think. You know, it's going to come to that eventually. It may come to that. Maybe we won't kill them. Maybe we'll just slap them upside their head. You know, march them down Main Street, tarred and feathered, naked. You know, just cover them with tar and feathers, and make them live the humiliation that our ancestors placed on other oppressive asswipes of the past. We'll just use that over again. So maybe we'll wind up doing that. But just keep your fingers crossed. There's a lot of folks are talking about this is a bioweapons attack in targeted areas from the Chinese. And it may have been coordinated through the deep state and the fucking Democratic Party in order to get rid of Trump and get rid of Trump supporters and to crash the economy. Who was that? That guy Bill Maher has been praying for an economic recession or a stock market crash, a reset, ever since Trump got elected. The left has been coming out, the progressives, the know everything libtards out of California, you know, out of Hollywood, all the ones that have been bought off by the Chinese. The Chinese own all of Hollywood, but if you folks didn't know that, they own all of Hollywood now. Okay, they're the major holders of all that paper out there, as far as I know. So let's just hope this doesn't go to an open war with China, where we have to nuke them and they're going to try and nuke us back. Then you'll see what the end times really look like when you look out over the vistas and see the mushroom clouds coming up over Los Angeles and San Francisco, Seattle, Washington D.C., New York City, Philadelphia, all the great places where the tens of thousands and millions of leftards live. So you may see that. Let's hope that never happens. But you need to get prepared. If you're not already prepared, you need to start getting with other people that you know and taking stock of what each other can bring to the table. Start making alliances so that you're able to weather this stuff. And you know, there's going to be people prosper off of this tragedy, and there's going to be people that lose their ass. And the average dude just wants to feed his family, you know, and have his Budweiser in the afternoons when he gets home from work. He doesn't want to have to deal with all this crap. This can get a lot worse, or it can blow over in a few days. There's some hope with this malaria treatment. This I think they call it Quiliquim, which sounds kind of nasty when you say the word quim in there. Reminds me of vagina, Quiliquim. So we may see some good results off of that. But the first thing you should do is turn off your fucking television and stop watching that mainstream media garbage. You know, everything that they say, there's maybe 1% of a grain of truth in it, and the rest of it is their opinions and their prejudices towards other things. They're trying to panic everybody. They want this fucking whole thing to blow up. That's the only way that they can get political power is to just bring down the entire system. And that's what they're up to do. That's what they're trying to do. You know, so you people beware. That's right now in the state of Alaska. We're not on lockdown. They've closed all the bars. They've closed all the churches. And the schools are closed. Gymnasiums are closed, like health clubs, things like that. All sporting events have been canceled. Kids are out on long spring break. They may go back at the end of the month. No one's sure yet how this is going to shake out, and it's really too early. We're only just about 6 days into a 14-day period the government has structured to try and level the curve of this stuff, right? They know that they're not going to be able to stop because of the way it's running. They won't be able to stop everybody from getting it, but if they can just slow down the pace, and with social distancing and closures and stuff, the pathogen's not going to have the opportunity to hop from person to person. That's the whole reason that we're doing all this shit. Is to slow that hop from person to person. And if with the therapies that they're talking about, those start to show that they're working, and they'll broadcast them on a wide basis to everybody. There's a good dude on the internet you can check out on what's it called? Medcram. Medcram's the name of it. He's a researcher and a doctor who works with viruses and stuff, and there's lots of good material on their channel that shows how the virus enters the cells in the lungs, and how these different drugs that they're saying, these malaria drugs, how that interferes with the replication of this coronavirus. It stops it dead in its tracks. So there is promise there. A vaccine takes longer to develop, and maybe by the end of the year they'll have a vaccine. But what they're trying to do now is to slow this stuff down so that they don't come into a situation where you've got all these people all of a sudden requiring all this care, and you only got a certain level of care that's available, and you're going to overload it, and then it's going to cause people to die. And that's why they're doing this stuff, keeping us all isolated from each other. So you should be able to glean that from the news reports and everything now. But after watching some of the news reports on the TV channels, the news channels, the different different reporters and stuff, their spins on it. Everything that you see, it seems like it's designed to panic you even further than you're already panicked. Okay, to scare the shit out of you even more. Okay, so that you'll be clamoring for their solution to everything, and they're pushing a certain solution. They're pushing communism and socialism. That's what they're pushing, and that's what they want. Uh, you know, in order to give some relief and maybe stop this coming hurricane that's going to hit all these big cities and stuff, the federal government is going to be sending out money to people to help get them through this crisis. You know, out the workers and stuff. They're structuring up a bunch of money that's going to be available for small businesses and the large businesses as well. They've even changed the tax law temporarily so that you don't have to file your taxes till July 15th. They're giving you 2 extra months just to file without any penalties or anything. You know, which is pretty damn good, I think. Excuse me while I take a sip of tea. What are we going to do here in the future? Well, like I say, we'll wait until spring and we'll go out and work in the garden, cut firewood, that type of thing. Plant some plants. This is possibly to be over in a week, or could possibly drag on for months. And this could be a paradigm shift so large that we don't even realize everything that's going to change. Okay. Personally, I'm thinking that there's something else going on in the background that we're not privy to, because the way that the press is panicking the people and the people are responding, it all seems like a psyop game to me, and it's covering for something else. What that something else is, I have no idea. It could be that there's going to be some major shifts in the way the banking systems are set up, and who controls the banks and the monetary systems all across this planet. Could be that's what's going down right now. We know for a fact that this is an attack to try and crash our economy, because our economy was, last couple months ago was just booming like crazy, and it's still booming, but they're having to send people home. In order to have commerce, you got to have communications. You have to have people talking to each other, doing stuff to each other. People have to gather up for that, to do that stuff. So that's going to snowball and just keep getting worse and worse. If you live in a big city, best be thinking about getting the fuck out of there. Okay? You got to remember that the supply system in America and most of the world is set up on a 72-hour rotational base. If those trucks stop moving, either because the operators are infected and too sick to drive, or there's nobody loading them up with foodstuffs, or there's foodstuffs not being made at the factory anymore, you are going to be out of food and out of everything else within 3 fucking days. There ain't going to be any in any stores. There's not going to be any in the warehouses. Nothing. Okay. This whole system globally is set up for 72-hour turnaround. The logistics of keeping the nation working. Okay. That's the way it's been for the last 40, 50 years. Ever since the end of World War II. It's been set up like that. The goal has been to just keep enough on the shelves for 72 hours. And then this is where all that... What do you think happens when you buy your groceries and you swipe your card, right? And what do you think they're entering that data into that machine? That's keeping... What happens is when you buy a can of tuna a computer is being told that there's one less can at this location, and to pull another can from the shelves and put it in the next truck to come out. There are stocking levels that are set inside the computer code, and when those levels are hit, that triggers the order to be refilled. And that's the way it's been set up for the last 40 years or so. And as our technology and our computers gotten faster and better, and they're getting the whole point of point of sale systems, the ones that you go when you check out and pay for your groceries, all those systems are meant to keep track of what's sold. They also collect data on you. They always have, of who's buying what and how fast it's moving off the shelves and all that kind of shit, and what needs to be replenished in what quantities. That stuff's been going on forever. But the bottom line is there's only 3 days worth of that shit on the shelves. And if you show up on day 4, you ain't going to find anything. And it's been, so far the truckers are still rolling. I'm glad that they are. The barges are still running. The air cargo people are still flying. The trucks and the trains are still rolling. Goods are moving. Okay, as long as that stays true, it's not going to get so intolerable that people are going to go completely insane and start killing their friends and neighbors. Okay, but once that stops, if you're stuck inside those cities, you're not going to be able to get out, and the stuff's not going to be able to get in. So if you haven't prepped and you're not sheltering in place, or you don't have a bug out plan and a place to go, you could just kiss your ass goodbye. That's all it's going to be. It's going to be a big reset. A lot of folks are going to die. A lot of systems are going to change. Power is going to shift. It's going to be I won't say end times event, but it's going to be interesting to live through. Some of you folks aren't going to live through it, but if it gets any worse, if you people panic and get out there and go do stupid shit to help spread the virus, like those dumbass kids that went on spring break, while they're down there getting their pussy and getting drunk off their ass and doing their drugs, they're also spreading fucking virus among each one of them, and then they take it back to their families and then everyone they talk to along the way. So that's why you're supposed to shelter in place and keep your distance. You want to stop the virus from spreading. Those dumb motherfuckers are just going ahead and spreading the virus. People don't. It's hard to take this thing for real when you don't see people dropping dead in front of you on the streets. Okay? So far we haven't seen any of that. That's because Trump closed the border in time, and majority of people are taking it seriously and trying not to be in a situation where they spread to others or they can pick it up from others. Okay? But the problem is that there's very few of the World War II generation left, and just about everyone born after the baby boomers that are younger than people that are younger than 40 years old or 45 years old or even 50 years old, people that are younger than that, they've never lived in a time where there wasn't a microwave oven. There wasn't instant communications, instant gratifications for all their needs, for any need that they come. And when that's not there anymore, or that's disrupted for a long period of time, they're going to go apeshit, and they're going to become violent. It's just human nature. So my advice to you from years of prepping and stuff is just, take a look at your situation, inventory what you have, on hand now? What do you have? Do you have a way to get heat? Do you have a way, like, can you start a fire without matches? Do you know how friction? Did you pay attention in physics class in high school and stuff? Do you know how friction works? How to start a friction fire? Do you know how to purify water so that you don't die of some pathogens in the water rather than the coronavirus when you're drinking dirty water? You know how to clarify water, how to make it safe to drink? Do you know how to keep your food in your icebox cold when the power goes off, or if it goes off? And that's another thing. If the grid goes down in condition with this stuff, it's going to be hell on earth, actually. So, do you know how to create electricity? No? Don't know none of this stuff? You got plenty of time now. The net's still up. Get online and start looking up how to do things for yourself. Take a look around your environment. Find out what you have to work with. Talk to your friends and neighbors. Find out who has medical training, who is a good hunter, who's a good fisherman, who knows how to farm. Do you know how to plant a crop? Do you have any idea what it takes to coax the soil to give you food? Could you go out into the woods and hunt? Could you live on the wild foods that are around you that you don't know about? Educate yourself on the common herbs and grasses and foodstuffs that grow all around you that you aren't aware of. There are tons of plants that you can survive on. You can actually get fat on some of them. They have enough calories and protein and stuff. You have to have knowledge. You have to get your knowledge on. Use your free time where you got to sit around and get the kids involved in it too. If you've got kids that are over the age of 5 or 6, they've got minds. Take the opportunity to get them involved. Teach them how, find out yourself and then teach them how to survive. This is your opportunity. Look at this as a reset. This is your opportunity to come out the other end wiser, stronger, and maybe even happier with your life. Right now, we've had, up in Alaska, we went from 3 cases of COVID-19. I think it counts up to 9 so far. Okay, and all of them were people that were exposed to people that were traveling from these hot zones in China and then on the west coast there. It's not neighbor to neighbor transmitted yet up here. That could change in a heartbeat. I'm not going to say that it won't. But most Alaskans that don't live in the big city of Anchorage, Fairbanks, are hunters, fishers, gardeners. We live in the semi-wilderness. We're used to gathering our food where it grows. A lot of you people don't understand where food comes from. That's one of the first things you should do, is educate yourself on where does meat come from. You think it's born in the back of the butcher case there, and it just magically cuts and wraps itself, and we could go on and on forever about dumb shit like that. So I'm not going to make this too much longer. I don't think anybody's even seeing it. So it'll be in the historic record that I talk to you folks and let you know what's going on. Maybe even if the whole world goes to shit over this, the NSA's in their computer systems will have a copy of this transmission. So somewhere in the distant future, my descendants, if there are any, will be able to look back and say that great-great-grandpa Greg tried to settle us all down and tried to make us see the light. So in that sense, I'm happy about that. All right, well, that's it. I'm not going to. We haven't been doing anything else. We've been sequestered here because of the weather, and all the events are canceled, so I can't go out and photograph any events or nothing. All I can do is sit here and talk, goof off, and it doesn't look like anybody's even looking at anything I'm doing. So I'm having fun. It's time to sign off. I'll go make up a bowl of popcorn, crack a beer open, maybe load a bowl of dope up and get fucked up and watch the world destroy itself. So until later, let's listen to the Flight of the Valkyries as we go out. If you ever do get to see this, let me show you the show links. So there's where you can find some more of me. And one thing, I checked my mail server this morning, and someone's been trying to hack into my systems through myalaskabackyard.com. Good attempt, but you need to go back and try something different, because you're not going to get through the email server to me. Okay? So, with that being said, let's listen to some more of the Valkyries, and then we'll fade into the oblivion. Au revoir.